The Arctic, a land where winter never truly ends. For millennia, its ice has been a vault, locking away creatures from an age long before humans ruled the earth. They are not bones. They are not shadows of the past. They are whole, their skin, their fur, even the fear in their eyes, perfectly preserved. And now, as the ice surrenders its grip, they rise from the silence to tell their story for the first time in tens of thousands of years. To begin our journey into this frozen archive of life, we start with one of the youngest, yet most puzzling discoveries: a puppy, so well preserved even its nose remains intact. But this is no ordinary dog. This is Dogor, a creature caught between species, opening new questions about the early days of domestication. In the icy permafrost of Yakutia, Siberia, scientists uncovered a remarkably well-preserved canine, a young male, roughly 2 months old when he died. They named him Dogor, meaning friend in the Yakut language, a tribute to the ancient bond between humans and canines. Scientifically, Dogor belongs to the species Canis, but researchers have yet to confirm whether he was a wolf, an early dog, or a shared ancestor of both. This uncertainty makes Dogor a fascinating subject in the study of domestication, when and how wolves began evolving into dogs. Dogor died approximately 18,000 years ago during the late Pleistocene epoch in a cold steppe environment filled with mammoths, woolly rhinos, and cave lions. His body remained frozen in permafrost, astonishingly intact, with fur, whiskers, teeth, paws, and even eyelashes preserved. He was discovered in 2018 near the Indigirka River by local fossil hunters, and the find was analyzed by the Swedish Center for Paleogenetics and the Russian Academy of Sciences. These teams conducted genetic sequencing, but results showed that Dogor didn't match any known dog or wolf, suggesting he lived very close to the time when dogs were first evolving from wolves. There were no visible signs of injury or predation on the body. It's likely Dogor died of natural causes or environmental exposure, possibly during sleep or from cold. What makes Dogor scientifically valuable is his genomic position. He may help pinpoint when dogs split from wolves. This is crucial not only for evolutionary biology, but also for understanding how early humans interacted with animals. Today, Dogor is stored and studied under expert conditions in Yakutsk and has been featured in several international articles and exhibitions, capturing global curiosity. From the mystery of Dogor, we move deeper in time. Discovered just months before Dogor, this next creature belonged to a species far older, a woolly giant of the Ice Age. Meet Sasha, the woolly rhinoceros calf, preserved with astonishing detail, revealing clues about a vanished lineage. Sasha is the name given to a juvenile woolly rhinoceros discovered frozen in Siberian permafrost. Scientifically classified as Coelodonta antiquitatis, Sasha belonged to an extinct species of large, hairy rhinos that once roamed the Mammoth steppe during the Ice Age. As a young female, Sasha provides rare insight into the early life of a species that disappeared over 10,000 years ago. Her remarkably preserved body was uncovered in 2014 by local hunters near the lower reaches of the Semyuluyak River in Yakutia, Russia. She was about 7 months old at the time of her death. Researchers estimate that Sasha lived approximately 34,000 years ago, during the late Pleistocene epoch, a period marked by harsh cold, open grasslands, and the presence of woolly mammoths, giant deer, and saber-toothed predators. The permafrost had preserved much of Sasha's soft tissue, skin, partial fur, and internal organs, making her the first ever woolly rhino calf to be discovered in such an intact state. Her body was transported to the Yakutian Academy of Sciences, where researchers began careful thawing and analysis. Scientists from the Russian Academy of Sciences, along with specialists from South Korea's Suwon Biotech Research Foundation, joined the study to explore the possibilities of cloning extinct species using preserved DNA. There were no visible injuries or cut marks on Sasha's body, leading scientists to believe she may have died of natural causes or by drowning. The cold conditions preserved her quickly after death, leaving a pristine specimen for analysis. Sasha's teeth, bones, and skin offer vital clues about growth patterns, diet, and Ice Age life cycles in extinct megafauna. She holds special importance in paleontology, not only for being the first baby of her species discovered, but also for allowing scientists to study juvenile development in woolly rhinos, something impossible before her find. DNA sequencing and histological studies, microscopic tissue analysis, have helped researchers understand the evolutionary history of rhinoceroses and their adaptations to cold climates. Currently, Sasha is stored at a secure research facility in Yakutsk. She has been featured in academic publications and international news, becoming a symbol of how permafrost can unlock ancient biological secrets. While Sasha's story offered us a glimpse of prehistoric herbivores, our next discovery takes us into the realm of predators. Two tiny cubs buried in ice for over 30,000 years. Their fur still soft, their bodies almost untouched by time. These are Uyan and Dina, cave lion siblings, silent hunters of the Ice Age, frozen before they ever learned to roar. Uyan and Dina are the names given to two exceptionally preserved cave lion cubs discovered in Yakutia, Russia. These siblings belong to the extinct species Panthera spelaea, known as the Eurasian cave lion, one of the largest and most powerful big cats of the Ice Age. Classified within the Felidae family, they were close relatives of modern lions, though genetically and behaviorally distinct. Both cubs were discovered in 2015 by local residents searching for mammoth tusks near the Uyan River. They were estimated to be just 1 to 2 weeks old at the time of death, and are thought to have died approximately 55,000 years ago during the late Pleistocene epoch, a time when Siberia was a cold steppe teeming with mammoths, woolly rhinos, and other megafauna. Encased in permafrost for tens of thousands of years, Uyan and Dina were found in astonishing condition. Their skin, fur, whiskers, internal organs, even their facial expressions were preserved. This marked the first discovery of near-complete baby cave lions in history. Their bodies were transferred to the Mammoth Museum in Yakutsk, where detailed examination began under the Russian Academy of Sciences. No signs of trauma or predator attack were found. Scientists suggest that the cubs may have died when their den collapsed, possibly from a landslide or sudden freezing. Rapid burial and the cold environment preserve their bodies exceptionally well. This discovery has provided rare insight into the anatomy, growth, and ecology of cave lions. Because the cubs were so young, their undeveloped teeth and bones allowed scientists to analyze early development stages that were previously unknown. DNA studies have also contributed to understanding the evolutionary separation between cave lions and today's African lions. Uyan and Dina have helped change our understanding of Pleistocene predator behavior, suggesting that cave lions may have raised cubs in dens similar to modern big cats. They are currently stored in controlled conditions for ongoing research and have been featured in international media and educational exhibits. Just as we were learning from Uyan and Dina, nature revealed yet another treasure from the same vanished world. This time, a single cub, curled in eternal stillness, found not far from where the others lay. Named Spartak, this cave lion cub tells a different part of the same ancient story. A story of survival, silence, and the frozen secrets of Siberia. Spartak is the name given to a well-preserved cave lion cub discovered in the Yakutia region of Siberia. This cub belonged to the extinct species Panthera spelaea, part of the Felidae family, an Ice Age predator, closely related to modern lions, but larger and more adapted to cold climates. Spartak was discovered in 2017 by a team of mammoth tusk hunters near the Semyuliak River. Based on morphological analysis, Spartak is believed to be male, around 1 to 2 months old at the time of death. His remains have been radiocarbon dated to approximately 50,000 years ago, placing him in the late Pleistocene epoch, during an ice age when the Siberian environment was a cold steppe with sparse vegetation and roaming megafauna like mammoths, steppe bison, and woolly rhinos. Spartak was frozen in permafrost, which preserved his skin, fur, facial features, and even internal organs. His body was found in a curled sleeping position, suggesting he may have died during sleep or due to sudden freezing conditions. Scientists suspect rapid freezing or den collapse may have caused his death, as no visible trauma or attack marks were found. This specimen is one of the best preserved cave lion cubs ever recovered, providing critical insight into the species' development. Through CT scans and DNA sampling, researchers have been able to study early growth stages, tissue structure, and genetic differences from modern lions. Spartak's discovery has added to the small but growing number of frozen cave lions found in Siberia, contributing to the scientific understanding of Ice Age carnivores and their ecology. He is currently stored in a specialized facility at the Mammoth Museum in Yakutsk under the supervision of the Russian Academy of Sciences. One discovery leads to another, and just when scientists thought they'd seen the rarest, the ice gave up Boris, another cave lion cub, preserved in astonishing detail, yet his body told a story slightly different from Spartak's. With each cub, the puzzle of Ice Age predators becomes more complete. Boris is the name given to a young cave lion cub, a member of the extinct species Panthera spelaea, which lived during the late Pleistocene epoch. This species belonged to the Felidae family, a group of large cats adapted to cold climates. Boris's discovery has provided rare insight into the life cycle of Ice Age predators. Boris was discovered in 2020 along the Semyulok River in Yakutia, Siberia, by local mammoth tusk hunters. He was found near another cub, Sparta, but later analysis confirmed they were not siblings and had died thousands of years apart. Based on scientific examination, Boris is thought to have been male and about 1 to 2 months old when he died. Radiocarbon dating estimates that Boris died around 43,448 years ago, during a time when the Siberian landscape was dominated by cold steppe grasslands, home to mammoths, woolly rhinos, bison, and other megafauna. The region was extremely cold and covered in permafrost, which allowed Boris's body to remain nearly intact for tens of thousands of years. At the time of discovery, Boris's body showed exceptional preservation, including fur, skin, teeth, and soft tissues. Scientists observed that the body was curled in a sleeping position and no external injuries were present. This led to the theory that Boris likely died in his sleep or due to sudden freezing, possibly after being trapped in a collapsed den or buried by snow. The specimen has proven invaluable to researchers studying Ice Age carnivores. Detailed CT scans and DNA analysis have been conducted, helping scientists learn about the development, diet, and adaptation of cave lions. Boris, along with Sparta, represents some of the best preserved examples of Pantherospelea ever found. Currently, Boris is housed at the Mammoth Museum in Yakutsk under the care of the Russian Academy of Sciences, where it continues to be studied and occasionally displayed.
While the cave lions ruled the frozen grasslands, far larger giants walked the same windswept earth. And among them was Yuka, a young woolly mammoth, astonishingly preserved, with her thick fur, organs, and even traces of red hair still intact. Unlike the cubs, Yuka's remains offered not just a glimpse, but an entire chapter from the Ice Age, and hints of possible contact with early humans. Yuka is the nickname given to a young, woolly mammoth discovered in the Siberian permafrost. Her scientific name follows her species, Mammoths primigenius, which belongs to the Elephantidae family, ancient relatives of today's elephants. Based on studies, Yuka was female, about 6 to 8 years old at the time of her death. Yuka was found in 2010 near the Laptov seacoast in Yakutia, Siberia, by local indigenous Yukagir community members. Her body was later transferred to scientists from the Russian Academy of Sciences and the Mammoth Museum in Yakutsk for examination. Using radiocarbon dating, researchers estimated that Yuka died approximately 39,000 years ago during the late Pleistocene epoch. This was during a cold Ice Age period when northern Siberia was covered in dry, open mammoth steppe, a mix of grasses and shrubs, inhabited by other Ice Age giants like woolly rhinos, steppe bison, and cave lions. Yuka's body was remarkably well preserved due to the permafrost, with skin, red hair, muscles, brain tissue, and even liquid blood recovered. She is considered one of the most complete mammoth carcasses ever found. Her preservation allowed scientists to examine not just bones, but soft internal organs, including her brain, a rare opportunity in paleontology. What made Yuka even more significant were signs of possible human interaction. Scratches on her bones suggest she may have been hunted or scavenged by early humans, one of the earliest known contacts between humans and mammoths. However, her body also showed signs of injuries, possibly from a predator before freezing. Yuka has been the focus of global research on extinction, cloning, and Ice Age ecosystems. DNA analysis of her tissues provided valuable data, and she was even featured in studies related to possible mammoth de-extinction. Today, Yuka's remains are preserved and displayed by the Mammoth Museum in Yakutsk, where she continues to educate and fascinate both scientists and the public. If Yuka opened a window into mammoth adolescence, then Lyuba brought us even closer to the very beginning of a mammoth's life. Discovered perfectly preserved in frozen soil, Lyuba was just a baby, only 1 month old when she died. Her body, untouched by time, helped scientists learn how these Ice Age giants were born, raised, and how harsh conditions shaped their earliest days. Meet Lyuba, pronounced Lyuba, the most perfectly preserved woolly mammoth calf ever discovered. Her scientific name is Mammothus primigenius, part of the Elephantidae family, just like today's elephants. Lyuba was a female, only about 1 month old when she died. She was discovered in 2007 by a reindeer herder named Yuri Kudi near the Yamal Peninsula in northwestern Siberia, Russia. The herder's family noticed the small, frozen body along a riverbank, and her find quickly became a major scientific event. The specimen was later transferred to the Shimanovsky Museum in Salahard, with support from the Russian Academy of Sciences and researchers from Japan and the US. Lyuba lived around 41,800 years ago, during the late Pleistocene epoch. At that time, her icy home region was part of the vast Mammoth Steppe, a dry, cold, treeless landscape filled with hardy grasses and animals like woolly rhinos, steppe bison, and cave lions. Thanks to the permafrost, Lyuba's body was nearly intact, with skin, internal organs, fur, milk residue in her stomach, and even eyelashes. CT scans showed that her brain was completely preserved. The level of detail helped scientists understand how young mammoths grew, digested food, and lived in cold environments. Her cause of death is believed to be suffocation after inhaling mud while possibly drinking water or becoming stuck in a muddy riverbank. No signs of injury or predation were found, and her peaceful expression and undamaged bones support the theory of accidental death. Lyuba gave scientists valuable insight into the growth, anatomy, and behavior of mammoth calves. She also helped researchers compare mammoth biology with that of modern elephants. She's been featured in several documentaries and traveling museum exhibitions, including a prominent display at the Field Museum in Chicago. As researchers studied Lyuba's tiny frame, another discovery surfaced not far from her homeland: the Yamal baby mammoth. Though less complete than Lyuba, this juvenile offered unique insights. Found in the same Arctic stretch of Siberia, it added depth to what we know about mammoth populations, their migration, and their struggle to survive in the Ice Age cold. This is the Yamal baby mammoth, another young Mammothus primigenius, or woolly mammoth discovered in the icy reaches of northwestern Siberia. While her exact sex remains unconfirmed, scientists estimate this calf was about 1.5 to 2 months old at the time of death. She was unearthed in 2012 by oil workers on the Yamal Peninsula, Russia, the same region where Lyuba was found 5 years earlier. The discovery was reported to local authorities and later transferred for analysis to Russian scientific institutions, including the Shemanovsky Museum and the Russian Academy of Sciences. This mammoth lived approximately 40,000 years ago during the late Pleistocene epoch, when the Yamal region was covered by cold grasslands, also called the Mammoth Steppe. These were rich in low shrubs and tough grasses, ideal for Ice Age herbivores like woolly rhinos, reindeer, and bison. Thanks to the region's deep permafrost, the body was remarkably preserved. Scientists noted the calf's muscle tissues, skin, trunk, and even toenails were still intact. CT scans also showed well-preserved internal structures. The suspected cause of death is accidental drowning or becoming trapped in mud, a pattern consistent with other young mammoths from the region. No signs of human interaction or predation were present. What made this discovery significant was its potential to fill developmental gaps between newborns like Lyuba and older mammoth juveniles. By comparing the growth stages, researchers could better understand mammoth family structures, nursing patterns, and environmental stresses in early life. The specimen remains under scientific care in Russia and has been mentioned in comparative mammoth studies and museum archives. While not as famous as Lyuba, the Yamal baby mammoth has quietly contributed to our evolving picture of Ice Age life.
But even solitary discoveries can lead to deeper stories. Near the site where Yuka was unearthed, scientists found the remains of another mammoth, now known simply as Yuka's companion. Though only partially preserved, this mammoth may have lived or died close to Yuka, suggesting social bonds or shared migration paths. Even fragmentary fossils, in the right context, can speak volumes.
Discovered not far from the famous Yuka mammoth, this partial skeleton belonged to another woolly mammoth, Mammothus primigenius. While the individual's sex and age could not be confirmed due to the limited remains, the find still held scientific value. The remains were uncovered during continued excavations in Yakutia, Siberia, around 2010, shortly after Yuka's full body was unearthed. The frozen tundra, rich in permafrost, revealed bones, tusk fragments, and partial soft tissue. No complete carcass was recovered, but the preserved pieces were sufficient to identify the species. Scientists estimate this mammoth died around 39,000 years ago, during the late Pleistocene epoch, the same era as Yuka. It was a time when Siberia's landscape was dominated by cold steppe grasslands, shared with woolly rhinos, cave lions, and prehistoric bison. Though less complete, these remains added context to mammoth population density and distribution during that era. The absence of cut marks or trauma suggested a natural death, possibly from age or environmental exposure. While not as visually striking as a full mammoth, this companion find contributed to mapping mammoth migration patterns and habitat range. Combined with discoveries like Yuka and Lyuba, it helped paint a larger picture of the Ice Age ecosystem. The bones are currently part of a research archive under the Russian Academy of Sciences, where they are used in comparative anatomy studies.
From the mammoth steppes of Siberia, we now cross continents to the icy soil of Alaska. Here, not a giant of the elephant family, but a powerful bison, preserved in permafrost for millennia, captured the imagination of scientists. They named him Blue Babe, a nod to the strange bluish tint on his hide and the ancient tail frozen within. This remarkably well-preserved Ice Age animal is known as Blue Babe, a male steppe bison. His species, Bison priscus, was an ancient relative of modern bison that once roamed across northern Europe, Asia, and North America. Blue Babe was around 8 years old when he died, and his remains were discovered in 1979 by gold miners near Fairbanks, Alaska. He lived during the late Pleistocene epoch, an era defined by cold, dry conditions and sweeping grasslands. The mammoth steppe, shared with woolly mammoths, giant ground sloths, and saber-toothed cats. Thanks to the Alaskan permafrost, much of his hide, muscle tissue, and even fur remained intact. His name comes from the unusual blue-gray tint of his skin.
a result of chemical reactions between the tissue and soil minerals over thousands of years. Examination of his body revealed deep claw and bite marks, suggesting he was attacked by an Ice Age American lion, Panthera atrox. Researchers believe he died during or shortly after the attack, and his body froze quickly enough to escape scavenging. Blue Babe gained fame not just for his preservation, but for the science his remains enabled, including collagen analysis and other tissue studies. In a moment of curiosity and some controversy, a small portion of his meat was even cooked and tasted by the Discovery team. Today, Blue Babe is on public display at the University of Alaska Museum of the North, one of the most iconic frozen creatures ever recovered from prehistoric permafrost.
Meet the Tumat puppies, two astonishingly well-preserved prehistoric dogs discovered in the Siberian permafrost. Both belong to the same species, Canis lupus, the ancestor of modern wolves and domestic dogs. They were likely siblings, though their sexes were not publicly confirmed, and both were believed to be just a few weeks old at the time of death. They were discovered near the village of Tumat in Yakutia, Siberia, during separate finds in 2011 and 2015, just a few meters apart, suggesting they may have died together, possibly in a den collapse or flood. Local residents found the first puppy and informed scientists, leading to further excavation. These pups lived during the late Pleistocene epoch, and their estimated time of death is around 12,450 years ago, near the end of the Ice Age. At that time, Siberia was a frigid, treeless grassland dotted with snow and Ice Age megafauna like woolly mammoths, cave lions, and woolly rhinos. Thanks to the permafrost, the puppies were remarkably well preserved, with fur, whiskers, brains, internal organs, and stomach contents still intact. CT scans and DNA studies confirmed their age and species. Scientists even found traces of woolly rhinoceros meat in the stomach of one puppy, a surprising dietary clue that suggests interaction with human hunters or scavenging from nearby kills. These remains are important not only for their incredible preservation, but also for helping scientists understand the evolution of dogs and how domestication from wolves may have begun. Genetic studies are ongoing to trace their lineage. The puppies are now kept at the Mammoth Museum in Yakutsk under careful preservation. They've also been featured in international exhibitions and documentaries. The frozen pups reminded us of loyalty and warmth, but our next journey brings us back to the ancient titans of the Ice Age. In the cold soils of the Khroma River, scientists made a chilling discovery: another young mammoth astonishingly preserved. A creature that may have walked just steps behind its herd, and whose short life still speaks volumes about an extinct world. This is the story of the Khroma baby mammoth. This is the Khroma baby mammoth, one of the best preserved juvenile mammoth ever discovered. Its common name comes from the nearby Khroma River in Yakutia, Russia, where reindeer herders stumbled upon its remains in 2008. Scientifically, it belongs to the species Mammothus primigenius, commonly known as the woolly mammoth, an extinct member of the elephant family. The specimen is believed to be a female, around 1 to 2 months old when she died. She lived during the late Pleistocene epoch, and based on radiocarbon dating, scientists estimate she died approximately 41,800 years ago, making her one of the oldest mammoth infants ever recovered. At that time, northeastern Siberia was a frigid mammoth steppe, cold, dry, and dominated by grasses and shrubs.
shared with species like woolly rhinos and cave lions. The preservation was extraordinary. The mammoth was almost entirely intact, including skin, trunk, fur, hooves, and internal organs. Even her stomach contents remained undisturbed, giving researchers a rare look at the diet and biology of Ice Age elephants. Researchers believe the Khroma baby may have died suddenly, possibly from drowning in river mud or falling into a pit. There's no evidence of predation or scavenging, which is likely why her body remained undisturbed. The Khroma mammoth provides vital clues about the growth patterns, habitat, and extinction factors of the woolly mammoth, and even aids genetic studies into de-extinction and elephant evolution. Her body is now housed under scientific care in Russia and has been featured in global exhibitions and mammoth documentaries. From the fragile innocence of a baby mammoth, we now meet a creature of strength and resilience. Buried deep beneath Yakutia's frozen ground, scientists uncovered the almost complete remains of an adult woolly rhinoceros. Not a calf, but a fully grown beast. Its horn, thick hide, and mighty frame still preserved by the ice. This isn't just a fossil. It's a full-grown warrior of the Ice Age. Let us step into the life and final moments of this ancient survivor. This is the male woolly rhinoceros discovered in Yakutia, Russia in 2020. This adult specimen is one of the most complete woolly rhinos ever found, dating back to an astonishing 50,000 years ago. Scientifically, the species is called Coelodonta antiquitatis, known as the woolly rhinoceros, a now extinct, cold-adapted rhino that once roamed the mammoth steppe across Eurasia. This individual was identified as a male, and his large, fully developed features suggest he was a mature adult at the time of death. He lived during the late Pleistocene epoch, when Siberia was dominated by frigid, treeless grasslands that supported herds of megafauna like mammoths, bison, and cave lions. The rhino's remains were extraordinarily well preserved, thanks to permanent permafrost. The body included thick fur, skin, hooves, internal organs, and even parts of the digestive system. Tissue samples were collected for DNA and collagen analysis, offering rare insights into the genetic makeup and physiology of Ice Age rhinoceroses. Early assessments suggest the rhino may have died of natural causes, potentially freezing shortly after death, although the exact cause remains under investigation. There were no signs of predator attack or scavenging, allowing the body to stay intact for millennia. This discovery has significantly advanced scientific understanding of Ice Age biodiversity, adaptation to extreme climates, and extinction patterns. It also provides researchers with valuable genetic material, essential for conservation biology and studying long-lost megafauna. The remains are under research by the Academy of Sciences of Yakutia and will eventually be displayed in a museum in the region. Meet the saber-toothed cat cub, discovered in the permafrost of Yakutia, Siberia, and announced in 2024. Although often referred to as a saber-toothed tiger cub, this is scientifically incorrect. It belonged to a different genus entirely. The scientific name is Homotherium latidens, an extinct predator from a unique branch of the feline family, often called scimitar-toothed cats. This cub was exceptionally well preserved, with visible fur, skin, and soft tissue, offering an unprecedented glimpse into an Ice Age predator rarely found in such condition. Its sex remains unconfirmed, and its age at death is estimated to be that of a young juvenile, likely only a few months old. Researchers believe this cub lived during the late Pleistocene epoch, roughly 36,000 years ago, placing it alongside mammoths, cave lions, and woolly rhinos in a cold, open environment known as the Mammoth Steppe. The body was found intact, lying in frozen soil and preserved naturally by permafrost. No major injuries were found, suggesting the cub likely died from exposure or natural causes, potentially caught in a sudden temperature drop or buried in a landslide. Scientists were amazed by the level of preservation, including visible whisker roots, muscle tissues, and even internal structures. This allows researchers to study the growth, development, and genetics of these rare predators in detail. This discovery is especially valuable because Homotherium remains are rarely found in good condition. It provides evidence that saber-toothed cats inhabited northern Eurasia and challenges older beliefs that they stayed further south. The specimen is currently being studied by teams in Yakutia and international paleogenetics labs, and it may eventually go on public display.
Finally, we journey to the remote New Siberian islands, where the last story unfolds. Here lie the remains of another mammoth, preserved by ice and time, offering fresh clues to the lives of these majestic giants. From tiny cubs to mighty adults, the frozen past whispers its secrets, and we listen closely. Discovered on the remote Kotelny Island, part of Russia's New Siberian Islands, this woolly mammoth is one of the most striking finds of recent decades. Its scientific name is Mammothus primigenius, a species of extinct elephant adapted to Ice Age climates with thick fur, fat insulation, and curved tusks. The mammoth's sex is male, and although its exact age at death is unconfirmed, it appears to have been an adult. It lived during the late Pleistocene epoch, with death estimated to have occurred around 34,000 years ago, during a time of intense cold and vast grasslands stretching across Siberia. Its frozen remains were found with liquid blood still preserved inside ice cavities, a phenomenon rarely observed. This sparked international attention, with institutions like the Russian Academy of Sciences and South Korean cloning researchers becoming involved in its study. The preservation is remarkable. Parts of the muscle tissue, bone marrow, and internal organs remained intact. Researchers believe the mammoth either fell through ice or became trapped in a crevasse, dying quickly and freezing before decay could begin. This mammoth provided valuable biological material, which some scientists have explored for genetic sequencing and even potential cloning, though no revival attempts have been successful or ethically approved. The discovery supports theories about mammoth migration patterns, lifespan, and environmental adaptation. It also gave scientists a clearer picture of how animals survived the cold extremes of the Ice Age and why they disappeared. Today, the specimen is preserved in Yakutsk under controlled conditions and continues to be featured in international media and scientific exhibitions. From the frozen vaults of time, they returned, not as ghosts, but as witnesses. Each creature, from the smallest cub to the mightiest mammoth, carries a message from an earth we have never seen, yet still live upon. Their survival in ice was an accident. What we learn from them cannot be, because the past is not gone. It waits, watching under the snow until we are ready to listen.